Brandon, thank you for joining me. Tell me, who is Brandon Block?
Yeah. Who's Brandon Block? I've learned that he is empath. I'm not going to label because, my concentration struggles, let's say. But you will see that. I don't know, I'm very, very grateful, very lucky to be here today, very fortunate in my career, and just walking into your environment today, even more grateful, seeing that the stuff that I'm very passionate about is being magnified by young people, by you, but this just walking, I was disillusioned recently.
Lost faith?
Just lost faith in humanity again, not because of any.
It's quite easy to do at the moment.
Yeah, and because, like, as you well know, when you do stuff in the field of, let's say, helping people without labeling anything necessarily, what I found is recently there's a lot of upselling, for want of a better word.
No,
what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So it's like, I just find, I got my help for nothing, and I find that I prefer to give my help for nothing. So I went on a journey, right? And look, I've digressed already. That's who I am. I'm very happy to be here. I think this environment you've created is absolutely necessary and wonderful. So Brandon Block now is revisiting his support network and wanting to offer some more support for the human race as we move forward.
Re-evaluating your tribe.
Re-evaluating my tribe, exactly, yeah. And I didn't think it was possible, but I've just realised that it is possible.
Yeah.
By walking in the right place, meeting the right people.
Well, I'm super pleased that there's been inspiration and humility almost sort of put back into you, because I crave that, like you're just genuinely raw, authentic, right? And I want that in my life. And we've been connected by someone, Glyn, who is raw, authentic, and so that's the tribe element, right? Good people know good people.
I'm feeling that word gratitude at the moment. Yes. They say gratitude's a feeling. Do. I mean, we know that, because you can't just say I'm grateful. You've got to feel it. Yeah. There's a meaning in the words. Words have power. So when you say that word grateful, and I actually am feeling grateful.
But there's a lot in being grateful. There's being present, there's being reflective.
Exactly, in this moment, because you can't be grateful for everything without being here.
Tell me, a young Brandon, I want to know whether you followed your dream or kind of almost fell into what you did. So what the kind of the who and the what influences as a young Brandon? Tell me about that.
I'm not going to say Brandon was I suppose, did I have a traumatic? I was an only child. Someone said to me the other day, are you an only child? I said, I'm 60 years old. So I'm not a child anymore, thank you very much. Yeah. But
it's quite an easy way to put it, isn't it? Yeah. But you started out life as a youngster on your own.
I think there was that whole thing about, having siblings and someone to bounce off and maybe not having someone. So you create some person, you create me. I don't know. The me from back then wasn't who I am now, because I think the me then was a real crazy. I protected myself with my madness, if that makes sense. So I became the nutter at school because I got bullied a little bit, not massive, but enough, I suppose. When you don't have anyone to turn to, and you go, I'm being called names, I'm being threatened this and that, and you've just gone to your first day at secondary school and everyone's calling you, and you think, what have I done here? So you create this, don't come near me.
Barriers and protection, right?
Because I might bite you, or not that.
I can't even imagine about you. So you were actually quite defensive.
Well, I mean, I think the mask and the madness was to he's mate, to coin a phrase, he's mental, him.
Well, what we talked about earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
but let's open it up.
And acceptance. You become. He's a nutter. He's accepted now, and I sort of became that loony. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. I mean it quite.
But society pressure and bullying and the way you're made to feel, which ultimately is then the way you feel.
Yes.
We were talking earlier about the whole being called mental, and then this whole mental health thing. I mean, that's a big part of your life, right? Because what I want to know is whether there was a young Brandon that was able to get into something that he dreamed of doing. Did you dream of being a DJ and becoming this huge sensation, if you like, from your career point of view. But we know, and anyone watching or listening that knows you will know that you battled with mental health. We all still are in some way or other. So being called mental, like we're all battling mental health, right?
But I mean, look, I think if I want to reframe that slightly, I wouldn't say battling, because look, the thing that escapes us all is we all have a mental health. And it's how healthy is it? It's how we manage what goes on for us. I think the realisation is that, or what we have to realise is that what we think, what we're told, how we take that is what will make us feel like that. So I didn't battle it. I think we had to learn to manage it, to manage learn to learn how I make myself feel by listening to what people say or things happen, and how I learn to deal with that stuff, which again, it's a life journey. It's not like it's going to cure all. It's not going to, not going to just change one night and go, everything's okay, because it don't work like that, does it? It's learning and having resilience and rolling with resistance and all this stuff about, being able to say, okay, acceptance, like, well, this has happened. What do I do, as opposed to saying, oh, it's affected me like that. We all catastrophize. We live in that world, and it's not easy.
How do you bring that in early, right? Because you have gone through your own journey to be reflective, mature, looking back at that, and then to have that chance to sort of, but at times in your life, you've been fight or flight. Oh. You've been really caught about, and you've articulated the whole mental health thing so much better than I did, actually. So, totally get that. But you've been in some really tough spots. You've hit the bottom. What's got you through that?
Look, I think, and you're right. I mean, look, okay, when I was, we all know, my story's not quite, I was addicted heavily to cocaine way back in the 90s. I stopped overnight because I had an epiphany, a decision of life or death. And I mean, I was literally given 2 weeks to live by my doctor, who is still in touch with me today, 30 years later. He's my mentor, let's say. If I ever have a problem, I can still ring him, my shrink. He saved my life. It wasn't anything else. He was the person. He was my higher power, let's say, at the time, right? And I'm not. I use that because people will understand that word. He's the head psychiatrist of the Priory, right? So it tells you his accolades, his qualifications, etc. But I think from that moment, right? Look, when I was young, I was never ready to give up. I think I had this driving force which led me to, although, look, I still struggle with, I don't struggle, I still have anxiety. I still get cortisol release. But then some of that is what we want. We want a bit of stress in our lives because we don't, I'm gonna go off the road a bit here. My take on this is, right, this is why I'm interested, firstly, in how my mind works. So I want to see how I still want to get these certain feelings. So I'm not going to let go of that. So each journey, and I'll come out the other side of each one and think, oh wow, that's why that was so important. So that's what's motivated me to sort of carry on through everything to end up here today. So look, just quickly, happiness, right? Everyone says happiness is key.
That's what we're all trying to find, isn't it?
Right. This world doesn't allow us to be happy every day, right? Because when you're happy, you need nothing, right? Oh, can I interest in a new pair of jeans, sir? Do you know what? I'm really happy. I'm all right. New car, sir? I'd love to. In fact, I love that car, but you know what? I'm so happy, I don't need a new car. Amazon, I mean, we all do it, but if you was happy with that, you're not good to anyone.
Do you know what? That's quite articulate in terms of actually fast forwarding to how money doesn't make you happy. Because new car, he's just got a better car than me. Or I've just got a new car, they just released another one. I haven't got the new car anymore. The whole thing gets more complicated if you start looking at life like that, right?
Yeah, of course. And the fact that we have, it's not keep up with the Joneses anymore, because the Joneses used to live right at the end of the street, and you'd probably only walk past their house once every 2 weeks and say, oh, look at the new garden gnomes, or look at the new lions on the garden, look at the electric gates, look at the Aston Martin, look at the you know, and you'd go,
It's judgment, it's comparison.
But
It's not
now,
healthy.
there it is, right in your hand.
Yeah.
How can, oh no, I've got to be like that.
Social media, right?
Well, you know, technology and it's typically social media, but you know.
How have you embraced that, right? Because you are old school, but you are also very relevant and relatable right now. You're dialed in, showing that about how you're talking about it. So if you look at it from a career point of view, and this is you know, from a DJing point of view, now aspirationally, it's probably the number one thing that kids want to be good at, right? And they're rock stars. They're the heroes of, you know, kind of celebrity, if you like, and they're making a fortune out of it. And that's kind of why I was wondering how much of that, because that wouldn't have been an influence for you it going into it. You know, there wasn't the money you can make out of it now, and so on. So was it a pure passion that you went into it? And then I guess you felt the crowd and had that whole atmosphere and feedback. But now the whole thing lives on social media, and you can grow that way beyond, right?
This is what I have to keep telling myself. I have to be grateful, and I keep saying, because I can get really immersed in that world you're talking about, and if I do, then I know I end up wound up beyond all exactly that emoji with the blowing head off. I'm not talking about emoji, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it just go, I'm not good enough. Why aren't I there? This gig, that gig, blah, blah, blah. And you go, stop. Just. So I've taken Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X. I didn't have TikTok. The only thing I have on my phone is WhatsApp. I don't have any other social media platform. If I need to go on social media, I'll wait till the next day, go on my laptop. If someone's got to share at a certain time, I'll go on my laptop at that time, do the work, whatever needs to be done.
So you manage it
and then turn it off. And believe it or not, you'll still find yourself with 5 hours screen time, right? Just from random check-in. Yeah. So you got to realise it's not just. I mean, yes, social media it's got to be managed, but we're hooked into technology, massively. And this is the whole thing about addiction, right? So it's not. This is my belief and my belief only, right? It's not genetically passed on, a disposition to be addicted. No, we're humans. If we do something we like, we'll do it again. And if we do it again and it works again, we'll do it again and again, because we like things that make us feel good.
And that builds a habit.
There's your habit. The only trouble with like bad habits, although they do form, is when they become bad for you, right? And obsessive. Maybe not obsessive, because you know, if I go to the gym every day, which I do now, because I just like spin class, am I obsessed with it? No, but it's my routine. I've created that routine, which I quite like, right? Which is good. I like doing it. I wouldn't need to go to bed thinking about spin class in the morning, but I do think about the time and can I get booked on, right? So we're all susceptible to things we like. It's when we get the things we like which are bad for us, and that's when we get stigmatized for it, right? So give a young person, a very young person, 4 or 5 years old, an iPad, 2 or 3 weeks with games, and then take it away and see what happens. You've created your addict.
So there'll be people watching, listening to this, that are either around someone, it could even be themselves, that are addicted to something, gambling, playing games, drinking. You said earlier in conversation that you stopped overnight. So that's inspiring. That was through your doctor telling you something, but you've then got to implement. You've got to have a desire to change those habits. What did you do?
Well, you're right. It's a passion. You've got to be, look, and if you're watching, I totally understand the frustration and how difficult it is to stop, because it took me.
You've been there, right?
It took me to the edge of the worst place before I did. And I'm literally trying to do away with myself by taking this much drugs, because I thought I'm too scared to stop.
You've gone down a slope.
I've gone down a slope. But the moment of clarity, right, when I stopped, and this is 27 years ago now, I went to detox, but it was in Paddington, Lisson Grove, right? It was the first mental hospital in London. Well, theoretically but I was sitting in the hospital, in my local hospital again, rocking backwards and forwards on a chair like this, going. I was asking for benzos. I was asking for painkillers. I was asking for any sort of to change the way I felt, because I was so medicated and I was so wired. But I was also very unwell. I had lots of illnesses, so I was having pain. So the whole range of things going on. But what happened was, I sat there, and this one moment of clarity was, I came to the realization, and I felt my brain drop. It's like I let go of every single anxious moment. I've had it once before in India on a beach when I was sort of meditating in a way years ago, and I just went. It was like I'm a different person when every part of anxiety dropped, and it happened to me in the hospital, right? And what I realised from that was, what my takeaway was, that I let go of the fear of living without drugs. That one thing.
Crux.
That one thing.
So you'd been relying on it, and then you told yourself,
let go of that
need
one thought for that time, for that 1 second, split second, because it came back like, it didn't just go away and stay away. Because, it took me, I made that decision. So the cog, the CBT had started, right? So the big cog or the little cog had went dink and clicked into place. Like, right, there's that thought that's been holding you in this place for the last 4 or 5 years, right? That's clicked. Then a slightly bigger one clicked. What do I do? Who do I go and see? Where do I find the help?
But that's curiosity. That's asking questions. That's now, I've described it as a slippery slope, now you're coming up.
Yeah,
because if you're curious and you're looking for help, then you're ultimately...
And because 96, there was no help. You couldn't scream on the street that I've just, stopped taking cocaine, someone to help me.
Was there no one around you? Obviously the doctors...
There was the doctors, but there was, the recovery, the 12-step fellowship were there, the meetings, and I went to meetings for a period of time. I found a few of the stuff I was a bit hard to swallow, so I backed off a bit and went on my own white knuckle journey, let's say. It was white knuckling, because I sat in a room with my anxiety for about a year. Wow. I mean, I went out, but I went back in the room, and I went in the corner of the room, and I sat there like this, working through all my anxiety. Because what they say is, and there's a lot of the stuff they say is really good. When you get addicted to drugs, you don't mature mentally. Because while that time you're addicted, you're obsessed with what's going on. So around you, the world is existing, you're not. Or you're existing in your own little world. So when you come out of that little world and you've got the big world, everything that's thrown at you is like, oh, I've never done that, without the help of drugs. So you have to rewire all the stuff you've done. So, and I didn't choose to do it. I didn't distance myself. I went straight back into Ibiza. I went straight back and saw my mates. I went straight back to DJing, and I was like, I just went and did it. I just went through the anxiety, felt it come over me in waves of fear.
Did you get a lot of support from those people? Were they supportive of what you were doing? Were you telling them? So what I mean by that is, were you putting it out there that I'm not going there again? This is a different version of me.
Well, I told her. Everyone sort of went, of course you ain't.
It was a culture, right?
Of course.
And this was like 1996. It was party time.
And I was the maddest party animal out there, on the front page of magazines for being...
Which also became part of your identity. That's why I was asking you whether... So Brandon said, it's going to be awesome. Then you're there going, I'm on the water, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have a bit of that, where they were like,
of course.
Whoa,
we're off. Where are you going? Yeah. I'm leaving. I've stopped. Yeah, of course you haven't.
It takes a lot of willpower to remove yourself from what was that identity to then be like, this is where I need to go. You obviously managed that well.
I think what you said earlier about what was the catalyst or the changing moment, I think, and you said it as well, it's about having the passion or the purpose or the vision, whatever you want to call it, whatever that moment is, that it's that change. Say, right, I've made a decision which I do not want to go back on. So you can battle that, which we do every day.
100%. I mean, our biggest challenges are the voices in our head, right?
Isn't it? It's the antagonism. But if it's important enough for you and it means enough to you, then the battle will be easier, because that decision I made was so strong. I can't describe it. I've never felt like this talking about it. It was so strong. I imagine my head dropped and I went, I'm going to live.
Hope. But you gave yourself it as well.
Yeah, I said
that you took control.
I found it myself. I didn't. No one said, because I didn't take it. Everyone's going, well, don't tell me when I've had enough. Don't tell me I'll stop. Then what I realised was, I'm clever. I lived this life, entrenched in this life, right? I had a list of where I'd go and see, right, every week. So I'd drop off, go to I wouldn't go to the first 3 part of the week because I thought, well, they think I'm doing too much. I'd go to the next 3, then go back to them, then back to them. Everyone's talking, have you seen him? Have you seen him? Have you seen him? And they'll go, of course we've seen him, And like, you're thinking, they haven't seen me. And you're in your own, I'm in my own little world thinking,
but that's also part of you protecting yourself, right? You knew that if you put yourself in that environment for long enough, there may have been temptation or someone convincing you to go back to a place that you don't want to go to. Right? So I think that's a deliberate visualization and behaviour.
It's the shame. It's the shame. I was shameful of what I knew I was doing something which was so completely, I don't know how to describe it. It was just crazy, but not good. Not in a good way. I wasn't feeling good about it at any point. Not in the last 3 years. It all stopped getting, it was really not great.
And just listening to you, like, it's awful and painful to hear that you were sort of riddled with pain and kind of rocking in the chair and so on. So you've made that decision to come out of that. You do the steps that have kept you in a place that's just only built a habit and steps to be the Brandon sat here now. Have you had any after effects and sort of things you carry with you now that are on the back of just how bad you got, or have you managed to sort of remove all that, you're clear and you're living a healthy, good life?
It's a great question because I've thought about that a lot. And I used to say to my psychiatrist, even back then, have I done permanent damage?
Because you know what you were doing and how you were living, which was destroying your body and your mind,
everything.
Right? But you wouldn't know that now. So that's so fair play. And then, is there anything that you have found out, or you?
Well, there's one thing, and it's probably a positive more than look. Wow, no one's asked me. No, you're the only person who ever asked me that, and I've thought about it. I've thought about it a lot through my life since then, right? And he said to me, "You've took nearly an ounce of cocaine every day for the last 2 months. What do you think is going to happen?" And I'm like, "Am I 95% going to get back?" And he was like, "See how you get on."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I can't guarantee you're going to get back to any sort of." But what I've noticed, and it's taken a long, long time, more recently, and it doesn't have that. For me, it wasn't those light bulb moments. Oh, I've come out of it wasn't like that. It was a painful learning journey. But what I've noticed recently is, until talking about it today, I've forgotten it.
Yeah.
It's not something I remember.
That's brilliant mentally, right?
Yeah.
So, and also maybe that overrides anything physical, because there's a huge correlation to that. And you got your spin classes and so on. You're looking after yourself now.
Yeah, but more so than I have done. But late on, I'm 57 now, so I started sort of like, this is what 35-year-olds do, and I'm doing it now. You know? So, but I've noticed that people talk about my old days, and I'm struggling to remember I mean, I could if I went back and thought, well, I've got to think about that feeling, but it doesn't come into my head like, oh, I remember that moment. It's like that sort of something I used to do in my life. Like, I can't remember playing football for the Cubs, but I know I did. I know I scored a lot of goals in one season, but I can't recall any of them specifically. But and like that, I can't recall, not unless I sit and think wholeheartedly about one particular. But it's a level now. It's leveled out. I've moved into a new. Rewired
it's brilliant. I mean, you're a success story. You're bouncing with energy,
Thank you.
just trying to even imagine you rocking in a chair in a place where, but you sort of say how much you've changed. The DJing world has changed massively, right? So, is there still a culture there of drugs, drinking, addiction, and the other thing is lack of sleep, right? I mean, and you're still DJing, so like it's this whole like. How does a youngster looking into this see the landscape now? Is there any pressure to be part of the nightlife scene that goes hand in hand with drinking? Because it feels like that's changing. Non-alcoholic beers, people are out there, they're embracing the movement and the music itself. Yeah. But they don't seem to need but I could be so wrong.
No, you know what, I think about this often as well, mate, because I'm not, because I'm like you now. So I honestly, I don't know the full story. People assume that I do because I knew it. I don't know now is the answer.
I get that.
But
at a certain point, you were the king of it. You were immersed in it. You knew. But then at that time, you were probably absolutely smashed on.
oh, that's right. Yeah. But you know what? One thing I do know, or a couple of things I do know, is now that yes, peer pressure. Yes, be part of. I get that, but you're right. There's a lot of more non-alcoholic drinks being drunk. A lot of the young people are embracing disco music and soulful disco music, and and house music generally, but also a lot of that. I'm not just saying the old school. I'm talking about tasteful music. The stuff that we used to immerse ourselves in, because it's all carrying through. So there's a lot of cultural change, and I think in that world, yes, I'm sure there's lots of drugs. I've heard horror stories about ketamine and lots of other these manufactured drugs which are impure, and I'm sure there's lots to go on. And I worked in the drug and alcohol service, so I'm aware of, although it's not been a while and things have changed, but I'm also aware of the underbelly of what goes on in social life. It's not. It's probably worse because we don't know what went on. We still don't know what the full impact of the pandemic was.
Not many people have said that to me, actually. Because so that's very insightful.
Because it was only when I was doing outreach during the pandemic. I was an essential worker, right, for the Hep C Trust. So I was delivering medication to people who can cure themselves of Hep C, by the way. But when I sat down, I spoke to someone, and I thought just one area of life, which, let's say it's a treatment system, for instance, like the NHS, and moving forward with. So you forget who was impacted by that. Staying in, not getting our services. So it's not just about people being unwell. Children at home who are not in great home situations. One lot. Social services, adult social services, mental health services, drug services, police, ambulance. It's the whole world impact, and that doesn't just go away. So look, yes, financially I get the work that's recovered. They can do that. They're quite good at that. People making more money again. So, but it's the other people, the people who live in the realm of normal, let's say, or everyday life, who struggle. And I was probably struggling now on the back of that still.
A lot of them are still masking, or they haven't actually understood the unraveling because of the habit forming. So I totally get that. Yeah, you've explained that really well. Scary. I asked you about that aspirational element of DJing. Yes. Someone coming through and so on.
Yes.
No. So I want to go back to, because it's all linked to it's linked to mental health, aspirational. So, is it a career that you would encourage, seeing it as it is now? Because I guess you did it and you thrived in it, but you also nearly died. Right now, it feels like something that creative people can create a massive following, social media. It's incredibly rewarding. Traveling, I can see the attraction.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to see if there is a negative, and how hard it is to break in as well.
Right, so but let's each point. So it's easier. Well, now say that isn't it wrong? Because as you said earlier, many people want to do it. Loads of people. It's. I suppose as a look, this is about. Let's go back to the mental health. This is about addiction again, right? So fame, right? YouTube started, right? One of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which do you know Maslow, Abraham Maslow? Yeah. So one of them is significance. We need significance in our lives, right? To be someone. So YouTube gave that opportunity to everyone to be someone by sharing whatever, whatever you do, you just put a video up, right?
Because before that, it was literally the channels on TV, right?
And that's it. That's why you became famous. So fame became addictive. How many likes? How many dislikes? This is where the effect, the mental health, oh, no one likes me. And it affected people. People took their own lives because of this stuff, right? So moving forward, it's if you can create that, but you see, is it underlying? What's it causing? Yes, I get you can create your own channels. You can be an influencer. You can put your music out. It's very easy to get your music out, but it's about what's the word? Continuity. It's not. You'd be very lucky to get a one-hit record. If you do, good luck to you, but you've got to have a backup. So if you continue to put music out, you'll get recognition. You'll get, because it then becomes on the internet. You've only got like Traxsource, Beatport, who will, once you see 10, 12, 13, you put a record out a week, it becomes part of the
So
infrastructure.
be consistent.
Consistency is key. Passion is key, right? And then also being aware of your interaction and is it affecting you, I would say, because I know that if I was doing it now, I would probably be going, I've got to be on social media, got to be on social media, got to be sharing, got to be sharing, got to be sharing my tunes, got to be sharing my music, how do I get it out there, blah, 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 blah. And it would be constant. So you've got to be aware that you take time out to be good to yourself, do some stuff which is good for you, calm down, let your mind rest. And
remove yourself from it.
You remove yourself, right? And you can then come back to it anytime.
Because it is a creative process, right? And if you're immersed in it too much,
it's creative. You don't get creative by getting overwhelmed and burnt out, which is what is. I can imagine. I'm not saying I know it's the case at all, but you've got an organisation here which deals with exactly what we're talking about.
100%. And
it's wonderful, but again, we get so quick nowadays to get immersed in that having to be. That's just a great line. I've got to be. What you got to be? I've got to be. I've just got to be.
And relating this to you now, I'm just conscious of time.
Yes.
Brandon Block, there's so much that anyone will know about you in your 57 years. What is Brandon being now? What is your kind of mission? What is it that you're wanting to achieve?
To be honest, I was, and this is going to be, quite profound. But until I walked in here today, I was being just do my gig, go home, go to sleep, go to spin class. I'm in a place in my life at the moment where I'm looking for something again, and I didn't know what that was.
So lacking purpose.
I suppose a little bit of lacking purpose. But I've had some people recently come and contact me again about talking about coaching, not coaching, wrong word, helping them.
Mentoring.
Mentoring. Good word.
You'd be good at that.
Yeah, so and I like doing that. It turns out I do that, and because I don't do it for any particular gain, I do it because I enjoy doing it, and if I can help impart something which triggers something in someone else, then my job's done, sort of thing. But walking in here today, you have now lit the spark in the.
Love that.
Honestly, mate, you really have, and I love it. And speaking to the Dan and the young lot earlier about just life and how they manage it, because I really do. I get overwhelmed thinking about what they have to. Look, I'm just saying from my experience. This is not that everyone.
That's empathy, isn't it? You know how hard it is.
I'm a terrible empath. I feel what people are going through.
Yeah, but it's a good strength as well. If you can channel it, which I hope like, from this point
I've learned
on,
how to
there's so
channel
much
it,
more.
of course, but I mean, I can't help but feel it. I mean, it's just that moment you think, oh God, please don't do that, or please be able to manage that, or because it's look, I struggle. I'll be honest. I do struggle. I'm not saying everything's perfect, and I wake up with a daily. Right, let's not think like this first thing in the morning. Let's not do. We have. But
this is the battle with the voices, right? But you're doing it, and it's an absolute pleasure and uplifts me to know that this in any way and your experience with everything that since you've come in through the door has been impactful. And you're definitely someone I want to spend more time with and see where we can go on a journey.
Mate, I'm gonna drive you mad.
No, you do it. No, you've got so much drive. You've got so much enthusiasm. It needs to be channeled, right? So anything we can do together to combine and help. But I need to bring this to a close. I could talk to you all day.
I could be, we've got.
But I've loved it. You're an inspiration, and you've been to some dark places, and you pulled yourself out of it, and now you're mentoring and helping other people. You're a legend. You're an awesome Brandon. Thank you, mate.
Thank you so much, Johnny, mate.